Hello, my name is Samantha Brooks. I'm museum educator here at the National Veterans Memorial Museum, and I am joined by Michael Fouts, the Public Programs Coordinator at the Ohio History Connection, to celebrate National Fossil Day. National Fossil Day was launched in 2010 to celebrate the educational and scientific value of fossils. Today, Michael is going to share some interesting facts about fossils that can be found throughout Ohio. Take it away, Michael.
All right, Sam. So what I have here are actually fossils that you might find in Ohio if you're really lucky. And so I have fossils that range from the oldest on this end, and they go to the youngest on this end. What I have here are fossils from the Ordovician period. And this time period began about 488 million years ago in Earth's history. During this time, Ohio would have been completely unrecognizable to all of us. For starters, the state was actually located underneath a shallow prehistoric sea. And to top it off too, the state would have been actually located south of the equator. Imagine where Australia is today. So it was a very different environment. It was a very warm tropical sea type environment that Ohio used to be during the Ordovician period. And so when you have that really nice, really calm water type of situation, you also get a lot of animals living in the state. And so you get marine invertebrates that actually are found in Ohio's limestone at this time period. And among the really awesome marine invertebrates that you can find in Ohio include one of my absolute favorite, the trilobite. And so trilobites are really famous in Ohio. Actually, the state invertebrate fossil of Ohio is a trilobite called Isotelus, which was made the state invertebrate fossil after a grade school class petitioned it. And so trilobites, they were scuttling on the ocean floor. They were doing all types of different jobs during this environment. But when you get animals like trilobites, you also get predators that want to eat the trilobites. And that brings us up to one of my favorite little fossils right here. This one right here, imagine taking a squid and then shoving it inside of an ice cream cone. And this would have been Trapdocerus. Trapdocerus, the shell would have come about to here on this particular specimen, but they would get a little bit larger as well. And at the open end of the shell would have been tentacles, that would have been the mouth parts, and they would have looked on the ocean floor for animals such as trilobites and other marine invertebrates to gobble up. Moving up in the geological timescale, we have my favorite fossilized animal right here. And so we are in the Devonian time period, which began about 360 million years ago. And during the end of this time period, Ohio was actually partially covered by an inland sea. And in this inland sea, you would have had fish now dominating the landscape. And among the really, really awesome fish, and one of the really awesome predators that used to live in Ohio in our geological past, was Dunkleosteus Torelli. The Dunkleosteus, for starters, was armor-plated, if you can imagine a fish with armor. But also, they were massive. They would have been about 20 to 29 feet in length. You can see right here on this reproduction of the lower jaw plate, is actually a part of their bony plate would have stuck out. And this would have acted like a pair of scissors when it met the top end of the jaw. And then right here, this cusp, it would have been used to grab on and hold on to prey. This is a fossilized root from a plant called a Lycopod that once existed in Ohio. And this particular fossil is actually called a stigmaria. And so this is the root structure of this Lycopod. If you're into insects and if you like bugs, this was your time period because all those plants were producing a lot of oxygen in the air. And all that oxygen let these insects grow massive. So imagine a 6 foot long, basically a 6 foot long millipede called Arthropleura that was scuttling on the floor of the ancient swamp. And then finally, we have some of our youngest fossils over here. And what I have here is actually the partial rib of an American mastodon. So the Ice Age, which is really famous in Ohio, it began about 1.8 million years ago and ended just about 10,000 years ago, which is relatively recent to where we are today. These are actually still the organic bone material. They haven't turned into stone like you would see the Ordovician fossils or dinosaurs.
Here at the National Veterans Memorial Museum, we actually do have some fossils located in our limestone out in our memorial garden. Michael, can you tell us what sort of fossils you might actually find out here?
Yeah, so you're going to find some really cool examples of those Ohio fossils that I was just mentioning, mainly the older ends. So you have brachiopods are mainly what I'm seeing. Brachiopods, they would resemble something like you imagine a clam or something like that to look like. They were slightly different, but you're going to find their shells spread throughout these rocks. Definitely, you might even get lucky, and you might even find a piece of a trilobite or a piece of a coral or something cool like that.
Well, thank you again, Michael.
Of course.
And you all can join us in celebrating National Fossil Day by going to any park around Ohio and looking for fossils. However, I want you to remember that if you do find a fossil, make sure you leave it where you found it so that someone else can come around later and can find that fossil as well. To learn more about fossils, please check out our website at nationalvmm.org and click on our Events and Programming tab and look under October at the Museum. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you at the National Veterans Memorial Museum and Ohio History Connection.